Hello, my name is Corey Kirschman. I'm the owner of Kirsch's Outdoor Products, and I'm the creator of the TRAX series of maps. I created the TRAX series of maps for myself, as well as all those sportsmen out there who need an all-around map. Not just a hunting map, not just a road map for traveling, but something that can be used for virtually any outdoor activity. It's like combining a BLM map, a Forest Service map, a road map, maybe a county atlas, a state game and fish or DNR map, all together live on our GPS. And the beauty is, because it is on a GPS, we can work with the zoom levels to increase and decrease detail as you zoom in or zoom out, that way not overwhelming the device or the user, and being able to allow the person to utilize all of that rich data. A TRAX map is an all-around sportsman's map. So think of the word TRAX, and a T in TRAX will stand for travel. You always have to get to somewhere whenever you're talking about an outdoor adventure. Roads, for instance, your city roads, highways, rural gravel roads, forest roads, even your two-track roads, you have to get back to the very remote areas. Also a travel, sometimes that includes trails, such as your hiking trails. So roads are a major part of the TRAX experience. The R in TRAX are for resources, and there's a variety of different resources out there. Some of your main resources, for instance, are water resources and land resources. So for water, your lakes, rivers, even your small wetlands. And for your different lands that are out there, for instance, your public lands, such as your parks and your forest areas. Well, along with the resources, you also need access to those resources. So from that standpoint, what's public and what's private? When you move into private ownership also, how about your different sections and who owns those sections? So your section lines and your township ranks and section numbers. And in some states, it even includes parcel boundaries and those parcel owners. Some other access information is what is wilderness lands. That's a very key point in many states, as well as your different game management units to make sure you are shooting your species of game in the right unit according to the laws of your state. One of the key features of TRAX maps is the inclusion of different public lands. This includes types such as Army Corps of Engineer, Bureau of Land Management, Bureau of Reclamation, Department of Defense, State and National Forest, grasslands, National Wildlife Refuges, National Parks, State Trust Lands, Tribal Lands, walk-in access programs in various states, waterfowl production areas, as well as wildlife management areas. And the X in TRAX is for extra, and these are all the extra features that were added to the map to make it an all-around sportsman's map, including things like points of interest, your cities, campgrounds, springs, wells, swamps, wetlands, and much more. And all together, these different elements and more make a TRAX map. Many of the Garmin versions also have a Plus version, so TRAX Plus. The Plus is the exact same map with the addition of 24K topo. This includes your land elevation contour lines with the map. The most common question that I get is, why are there two cards in every package? So as I go ahead and open up the package itself, inside you will see a micro SD card and an SD adapter. Now, the micro SD card would be put in a newer Garmin GPS just like this, and away you go. On the older style that requires an SD card, you would take the micro SD card out, you would slide it into the SD adapter, and this is what would be inserted into the GPS. To load the map into the GPS, you simply insert either the micro SD card or the micro SD and SD adapter combination. In this case, I'll put it in a newer style Garmin. Make sure that sliding lock is secure. That's probably the most common question I get for a map not working properly or not reading. I insert my batteries back into the GPS, close my cover, flip the unit over, and turn it on. And that's all there is to installing a TRAX map on a Garmin GPS. As it boots, it's going to tell me the base map that's in the unit. It's also going to tell me the Kirsch's Outdoor Products map is loaded, and now my TRAX map is ready to be viewed on this GPS. I'm doing the demonstration of this TRAX map today on a Garmin Nuvi GPS. Now a lot of people may find it strange that I'm using a Nuvi because they wouldn't consider this an outdoor GPS, and they're right. However, what a great thing to have this beautiful view up on the dash of your truck whenever you're in your outdoors, because wherever you're going, you're normally driving there. So from that standpoint, you can see all the same grid information. And you can swap this chip back and forth between your handheld and your automotive newbies as well. So to start off with, I'm going to show you the basic features of every TRAX map, and then we'll go into some details on a state-by-state basis. But to start off with, I'm in North Dakota right now, my home state, and I'm out in western North Dakota. You're seeing the very basic features of every TRAX map. So you're seeing your major roads, in this case interstate road, your main U.S. highways, and you're also seeing your public land showing up. You're seeing your major lake showing up at this resolution as well. If I want to, I can just touch the screen wherever there's no public land. It will also tell me what game unit I'm in. Some states call them zones, some places call them units, etc. But that's game unit 4D in North Dakota, so I know if I can shoot a deer in that spot. Also, these green lines here are also my borders of where those zones or units do change. So as I'm looking at this, as I zoom in at the levels, more and more detail begins to appear. In this case now, my railroads have shown up, my smaller streams are showing up, the actual accentuation of the borders of the land are showing up as well, so you know exactly where those public land borders begin and where they end. Now, same way as I found out what hunting unit I'm in, if I don't know what color this land is because I don't know, the key very well, I can just touch that element and it will tell me that's the Little Missouri National Grasslands. Now, grasslands in most states are open to public hunting. The further I zoom in, the more and more detail that does appear. If I go in even further, now my smaller roads are showing up in here. These are my gravel roads, my 2-track roads, all that type of information showing up here on my GPS. I can see my points of interest showing up. Here's 2 different campsites that are showing up on my graph, or up on my GPS, excuse me. In addition, now my smaller lakes are showing up, even my wetlands in the state. Wetlands could be important depending on the type of species or your outdoor activity. If I keep zooming in, when I get to this level of zoom, my topography starts to show up on the GPS. The further I zoom in, the more and more detail my topography gets, eventually getting to a 24K topography. There's a little bit of contour in this area, but not a ton. Now, these areas you see, these lines you see in this dark blue or purple shade, that's my section lines, and this number in the middle is my township range and section number. In this case, Township 138 North, Range 101 West, Section 12. All of these things, lakes, streams, roads, trails, section lines, these are all things standard in every version of a TRAX map. Now, I did not mention trails, but I will go ahead and move over to trails right now. I know this is a national park up here, and I know there are trails in the national park because I know the area well. So as I start zooming in, now this color right here, this light pink color, those are my trails that are showing up on the GPS. Another color you may encounter is this checkered line. It's this red and black checkered. Those are wilderness areas because in certain states, they have special regulations for outdoor activities in wilderness areas. So all these things are showing up on my GPS. The basic elements show up at a quite advanced zoom level as far as being zoomed way back, as far as 8 to 12 miles. But as you notice, the further and further I got in, the more and more information that appeared. I'm now going to demonstrate some unique features of specific states. Lake topography is a feature in the North Dakota map, Minnesota, Montana, and Washington. Now, not every lake is covered, but in a lot of cases, the major lakes are. So as I zoom into this specific lake in North Dakota and I keep zooming in, we are seeing the lake topography show up, the actual depths. And in this case, we're seeing 3-foot contours. These contour lines can vary. In certain lakes, it could be as shallow as 1-foot contour changes, to some very deep trout lakes in Montana being as much as 20-foot contour changes. But in this case, for this lake, it was optimized at 3 foot of contour. In addition to the actual lake contours, I'm also seeing my boat ramps in this case. Again, a feature of specific states such as North Dakota. Another unique feature can be private land information. Now, one of the examples we saw earlier was as we zoomed in, we saw the township range and section number. And as I zoom into this area, the same thing will apply. So as I look here, I can see that I've got my section, and here's my township range and section number, Township 136 North, Range 70 West, Section 10. Well, if I keep zooming in here, what I can do is the private land information begins to appear. And if I touch an area of private land in North Dakota, it's telling me the private land owner, in this case, Ramona Kirschman from Streator, North Dakota. Now, there are cases such as this where if we can make an address match with that person, that we will also include a phone number for your convenience. In this case, my mother's phone number is on here. So I'm doing this demonstration. I've of course got permission from my mother to use her property in this case versus using somebody else's name on here. But this is showing all of her relevant information as far as where she's from and her phone number. Now, if the phone number is not there, in most cases we try as much as possible to include the person's name and city and state. So you can use whatever tools are at your disposal, the internet, your smartphone, etc., to look up a phone number and find that information yourself. That is a feature of the 2013 maps that have been added to many different states. As an example, the states that include private land ownership, not throughout all of the counties of the state, but Montana, North Dakota, Wyoming, New Mexico, Oregon, and Washington. And the amount or percentages of those states that include private land ownership are on our website. So again, go to www.koutdoorproducts.com, go to the specific state of choice, and you can find out if it has private land information and what counties are included. Another unique feature of the TRAX maps is layer control. This allows you to turn specific layers off and on. The navigation this varies on different GPSs, but on this newbie it's Tools, Settings, Map, and then Info. And I have the regional package in called TRAX West. So I have my options here for roads, major and minor. I've got sections, water, land. I've got topo, elk units, and other features here. So as an example, I maybe went elk hunting in the morning and want a topo on. Now I'm going to go maybe turkey hunting in the afternoon. I'm going to turn it off, or camping or something different. So it allows me to control those features. Topo is another key feature I like to turn off on the automotive GPSs because it can make the screen kind of busy if you're in an area with a lot of elevation changes. But it's as simple as marking it or unmarking it to give you control over that map. Now there's two different map formats because Garmin changed their maps in 2012. By default, the version I have up right now is called the standard map format, or traditional, some people may call that. This is what is sold in all the stores. This will work on all Garmin units, but on Garmin units manufactured before 2012, it will give you layer control. Because of the map change in 2012 to certain units like the Garmin Montana, the Garmin 62S, the Garmin Alpha, that we have added a secondary format called the new format. Now that new format will give you layer control on these brand new Garmin units, but it won't work on the older ones. So we use the version, first of all, the standard version sold in stores. That's available to everybody. If you wish to update to the new version, you can do that via your update tool. And I'll be showing a demonstration of the update tool very soon. To conclude this portion of a demonstration, I switched over to a handheld GPS since that's what most outdoorsmen are going to be using anyway. One of the things I didn't mention earlier was walk-in access properties. In North Dakota, it's called plots, private land open to sportsmen. But for the states of North Dakota, Minnesota, Utah, and Idaho, we do include the walk-in access property. So we work with those state game and fish or DNR departments to include that information. In this case, you can see I'm touching a piece of property that says it's plots 2013. Our maps are updated frequently, in most cases at least twice a year, to accommodate these changes to walk-in access. Now, one very unique feature of the handhelds is as I touch this property, it now is zooming in. I'm going to zoom in even a couple layers further. And as I touch this property, this little expansion box opens. And when I touch that, it's telling me all the things associated with that spot. It's plots 2013. Here's my land ownership. Again, I can open that up and it will show me the same information I saw earlier. It shows me what game unit I'm in, what township, range, and section number this is, the lion unit. I keep going down, the elk unit, and what county this is. So by simply touching a spot on the screen, I then can get multiple pieces of information because there's more about this spot then just that's plots ground. If I would move it over just slightly and touch the actual elevation, now my elevation data has been added to the specific list of information as well. So a very key feature, this is only available on handhelds. The way this shows differs per handheld and on a very few select newbies, but in general is a very unique and powerful handheld feature. This is a demonstration of the update application for Kirsch's outdoor products. We'll start this at the home page of www.koutdoorproducts.com, and we'll go ahead and choose Support and Update Your Product. From this window, it lists the two different ways you can update your products. You can use the online updating tool if you have a Windows PC, or you can send your maps in for updating. In this case, we're going to demonstrate the online map updating tool. There's a list of requirements here, the main one being it must be a Windows computer, and the second part is downloading the actual application. So we'll go ahead and choose to download. I'm using a Windows 8 computer for this demonstration. Windows 8 is flagging me. Am I sure I want to run this program? I will say yes. And the installation will start. And again, this is just getting the map updating tool on my computer. This isn't updating the actual map yet at this point in time. I'll go ahead and choose the defaults. And you can see that it updates very quickly, so the installation program is now on my computer. At this point in time, the way you launch this will vary depending on your Windows system. Normally, it would be Start Programs Kirsch's Outdoor Products. But because I'm demonstrating this on the Windows 8 computer, I would go ahead and go out to my Start area. I would launch the Garmin TRAX map updating tool. At this point in time, we get to the Welcome window, and it's asking you to insert your card into your PC. Normally, you would put your micro card into your SD adapter, insert that into a memory card reader, or put the card in your GPS, connect it to your Windows computer. Upon doing that, the program knows exactly what drive the map is. So in this case, it's saying you go ahead and install from the F drive. It now wants me to choose what product I wish to update. In this case, I'm going to be updating my North Dakota map. And this is a very important option called the new format. By default, if you don't know what to do here, do not check this, because without checking it, this will work on all Garmin GPSs. However, the brand new Garmin's released since 2012 have a different way of showing the layers on the map. So if you wish to be able to turn different TRAX map features off, like maybe topo, ownership, section lines, you'd want to mark this if you're only going to run this map on GPSs manufactured since 2012. Some examples might be the Garmin Montana or 62S. I'm not going to mark this at this point. I'm going to choose Next. And now it's asking me for an update key. This is because this map is from a previous year. Now, if you happen to be, for instance, this is 2013, and you're updating an earlier version of 2013, it will skip this option. But because there is a charge to this, it is asking me for my update key because it is a previous year version. If you need to buy one of the keys, you click on this link. It will take you to buy a state package or a regional package update. You have to make sure to choose Validate. Next now is highlighted, therefore I know I can continue, and choose Next. At this point in time, it gives me a summary of all the information, what key I'm going to use, what product it's going to be for, just to make sure, and then I will go ahead and choose Next. At this point in time, the update process begins on the map. Step 1 is to download the map from our website down to your computer. Now, depending on your map set, a single state may only take a matter of minutes, whereas if it's a regional product like TRAX West, 2 gigs in size, based on your internet connection, this could take some time. But the first step is to download the actual map. The second step is to remove the map from your card and then replace it with this new version. And that's it. Once you get to the congratulations window, you know you have successfully updated your TRAX map. At that point in time, you can hit finish, and you can either take the memory card out of your computer if it's already in there, or if it's already in your GPS, it's ready to be used.